and thank you for coming to my site. I hope you had fun looking through all the different links, but if you haven't, I do suggest you do that now. Anyway, my project deals in the search for the ideal instrument. I focused my search looking for pitch percussion instruments because I was looking for an instrument that had a high degree of virtuosity, meaning that can express itself both as a purely percussive instrument but have melodic qualities as well. I started this with basically just pitched drums. The most obvious coming to mind is the timpani, which you could change the pitch of a timpani using the foot pedal, but I found that it doesn't have a very large range, only of about a fifth. I moved my search to the tabla, which again, it can express itself very well percussively, but it doesn't have a very wide range. So I moved on to a drum that I knew had a wide range, the steel pans. But I found with the steel pans that the lower notes take up a much larger and larger area of the drum. So to get as much of a range on the steel pans as you can, say, on a piano, it would require so many drums as to become very impractical. I found the same discrepancy with range and size when looking at collective instruments. For example, the handbells, if you want a very large range using handbells, you would need a very large amount of handbells as to become impractical. Same thing with the scribali. With more and more notes, you have a larger and larger frame, and that will become impractical. With the lithophone, I found out that the notes themselves or the things that create the notes themselves are very large. And I've seen a lithophone made up of stalagmites in a cave taking up a very large area, but it was only able to produce a few notes, which is far from ideal. Tubular bells, too, also known as the chimes. They have an amazing tone, but the devices that create the notes are so large that to have too many of them becomes very impractical. Then I looked at the xylophone family, which the things that create the notes are very small, so you can have a very large amount of them in a very small area. Then looking at these, I looked at what can create the highest degree of virtuosity, and the vibraphones especially. The vibraphones, you can do so many things with the vibraphones. Sustain the note using the sustain pedal, add vibrato using the motor, play with 2, 4, 5 or more sticks to create more and more chords. But the problem with this, and really all the instruments in the xylophone family, are that you can't really express yourself percussively on them. For example, if you tried to play a piece on a snare, then transfer that same piece to a vibraphone, just using like one note, it wouldn't sound the same, and you can't get the same dynamics or effects that you can out of, say, a snare. To solve this problem, I created my own instrument. I call it the Duke drum. It's made basically out of a plastic bucket. My original plan was to make it out of wood, but I could not find the tools or the facilities to machine this, so I made it out of a plastic bucket, which I can pretty much carve out with a knife. What I did first was I cut out the bottom of the bucket, which I hope to use as this inside paddle, but this was my first attempt. As you can see, it was very small, so I had to buy another lid and cut that out for the paddle. Then I taped the paddle to a wooden dowel, which I then inserted into these slits that I cut in the side, which makes the paddle move up and down. What I hoped to do by this was, by changing the volume of the inside of the drum, I hope to change the pitch. but that didn't quite work as well as I planned. For example, this is the lowest pitch, and this is the highest pitch. The pitch did get higher like I planned, but it doesn't nearly have the range that I was hoping for. Or it could very possibly be the head. I made the head out of 2 layers of plastic packaging tape. It's a very probable design to have the ideal instrument, but it would require much more tinkering and more professional equipment than I was given. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. I hope you had fun looking through all my different links and learned a lot. I know I did.